So right students, we'll start with today's class. So in yesterday's class, we covered unit 1. In unit 1, we completed part A of unit 1. As I told you, in today's class, we'll start with unit 1, part B part. So these are all the part A content which we have already covered. So right students, now coming to unit 1 part B. This is not unit 2, but this is unit 1 part B. So this is the second chapter, so I gave it as unit 2 in my presentation. So the topics, as in previous classes, we saw the introduction part for software testing. In complete unit 1 part A, we saw the introduction part regarding software testing. What are all the terminologies you need to know in order to understand this subject, right? So we saw all those things. Now coming to part B, we'll start with testing process. As I already told you, in every chapter we'll be having different testing process. In first chapter we'll be seeing path testing, how you will perform path testing, and later chapters we'll be seeing domain testing, syntax testing, and so on, right? Now coming to the contents we'll be seeing in this chapter are chapter name is flow graphs and path testing. Here mainly we'll be seeing the path testing concepts. So first of all, we'll be seeing the introduction concepts for path testing, and next we'll see what are predicates, what are path predicates, what are achievable paths. These are the concept related to path testing, and then we'll see path sensitization, path instrumentation, and finally the applications of path testing, where we can perform this path testing, right? Now coming into the chapter. So coming to the definition of path testing. So why is this path testing useful? In order to test your software, you need to perform any kinds of testing. So among different kinds of testing, one of the testing method is this path testing. Now coming to the definition part, this is a family of structural test techniques based on judicially selecting a set of test paths through the programs. Now this path testing belongs to a family of structural testing technique. In the sense, we can perform path testing only to structural languages. If you are using structural language, then only you can perform path testing. So this belongs to a family of structural test techniques, and it is based on what is the criteria we are following in path testing is it is based on selecting a set of test paths through the programs. Now if I'm given a program and if I'm asked to test a program, then I need to write some test cases, right? So in order to write a test case, what part should I test in my program? What part should I so 1 second. So right, see here, for suppose you are having a sequential program. You are having a sequential program. So in order to test this program, I give input in such a way that initially first line will be executed, next second line, and next third line, and next fourth line. Finally, all the statements in this program will be executed. So I'll design a test case in that way. For suppose if you are given a program in which you are having some decision making. So see, this is your program. This is your statement 1, and next you are having some decision making. From this decision making, if it is yes, some route should be executed, and if it is no, some other route should be executed. Okay, and next followed by rest of the statements in your program. Now, if I'm asked to test this program, I should write 2 test cases. I should design 2 test cases such that if I run my test case 1, my flow should be first this statement is executed, then the condition should be checked, and after condition checking, the true case should be executed. So true scenario will be, true path should be followed, and next followed by this statement. So the test case which I have given should flow in this manner. Now this is one path, and the second test case which I am giving should flow in this manner. Now first statement should be executed, again the decision making should be executed. Now the false case should be executed. The path should be in this way. Now the false case should be executed, and next followed by the rest of the statements. So it's enough for me to write 2 test cases for this simple program such that when my first test case executed, the true case should be executed, the path of the true case should be executed. And if I give my second test case as input, the path of the false case should be executed, right? And for the above program, for this program, it is just enough to write one test case such that all the lines are executed sequentially. Why? Because there are no alternative paths in this program. The program is written sequentially, in the sense I'll be having only one path, right? So that is what we are saying here. So this is a family of structural testing techniques. And what we'll be doing here is we'll be selecting a set of test paths through the program. Here, in the above example, the path is sequential. In this example, the path is yes, true case in one scenario and false case in another scenario, right? So this is, one second. So this is the meaning of this definition part. Now, what is the goal in this path testing is, so I should pick enough paths to ensure that every source statement is executed at least one. So that is what I told you, I gave you in the previous example, right? So my path should be in such a way that all the statements should be executed in, for suppose I'm writing a program for addition of two numbers. Now, how you'll write an addition of two numbers program? You'll declare A and B, C variables in first line. Next, you'll calculate C equal to A plus B in second line. And next, you'll be printing, right? Now, I want to test this program. So in order to test this program, I'll be giving just one test case. My test case values will be A equal to some 2, some B equal to some 3. These are the values I have given, and my expected output will be, expected output for this program is, it will be 5. So I'll just run this test case on this program. Now this first line will be executed initially. Next, this will be executed, and I'm expecting some output from this program. If my output for this program is 5, and the expected output for my program is also 5, then I'll say test case is pass. Now, what I have done here is, I have written a test case in such a way that all the statements in my program, see this is my program, I'm having 3 lines in my program, all the statements in my program are executed at least once. So that is what we are, our main goal in path testing is. So our main goal in path testing is to pick enough paths to ensure that every source statement is executed at least one. I should cover the statement, I should execute the statement at least one. In that way, I should design my test case. And also, the second goal is, it is a measure of thoroughness of good coverage. So that is what we told you. I should make sure that all the code is covered, all the code is executed at least once while designing my test cases. It is used mostly for unit testing of new software. So when I'll use this path testing is, this is mostly helpful in unit testing. So path testing can be applied only for programs which smaller programs of smaller size. So right, when we'll perform unit testing, we'll be performing unit testing for small components, smaller components, right? So in the sense, it will be small program, and path testing can be applied only for small programs. Okay, so that is what we are saying here. It is used for unit testing of new software. So its effectiveness reduces as the software size increases. As I already told you, path testing will be helpful only if the software is of small size. If the size increases, if the software size increases, if the code size increases, then path testing will not work that much effectively. So its effectiveness reduces if the software size increases. So we use path testing technique indirectly. So we don't, it's not that you should perform only path testing on the program. You can perform path testing with combination of different testings, which we'll be seeing in later chapters. It's not that you perform only path testing. You can combine your path testing with different other testing techniques, right? All those techniques we'll be seeing in other chapters, right? And next one is, next goal is, path testing concepts are used in and along with other testing. So that is what I already told you. So path testing will be used along with other testing techniques. So these are the goals of this path testing. Now coming to assumptions of this path testing. When I'm going to perform path testing, what are all the basic assumptions the tester will have in his mind? So assumptions of path testing are, software takes a different path when intended due to. So our main assumption in conducting this part testing is we are, one second. Right. We are assuming that because of some error, one path should be executed, but because of some error, another, it is taking some other path. Some other path is being executed. That is our assumption while you are conducting part testing. So because of this error, ఈ ఎర్రర్ ఉండటం వల్ల ఒక పాత్లో ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవ్వాల్సిన ప్రోగ్రామ్ కాస్త ఇంకొక పాత్లో ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవుతుంది. దట్ ఈస్ అవర్ ఫస్ట్ అసంప్షన్. అండ్ సెకండ్ అసంప్షన్ ఈస్ ఆల్ ది స్పెసిఫికేషన్స్ దట్ ఆర్ స్పెసిఫైడ్ ఇన్ డాక్యుమెంట్, రిక్వైర్మెంట్ స్పెసిఫికేషన్ డాక్యుమెంట్. సో రిక్వైర్మెంట్ స్పెసిఫికేషన్ డాక్యుమెంట్ లో ఏదైతే క్లయింట్ మనల్ని చేయమన్నాడో, వాట్ ఆర్ ఆల్ ద రిక్వైర్మెంట్స్ దట్ ఆర్ గివెన్ బై ద క్లయింట్, all those specifications are correct and achievable. That is our assumption. So in the sense, whatever is given in the requirement specification document, everything is achievable, everything can be generated. So there is nothing wrong in requirement specification, there is nothing impossible thing in requirement specification document, everything is achievable. That is our next assumption. And next, processing bugs are only in control flow statements. So generally our assumption while conducting path testing is all the bugs, all the processing bugs are only in control flow statements. All the processing bug occurs in only control statements, right? And next final assumption is data definition and access, everything are correct. So these are the minimum assumptions we keep in our mind while we start path testing, right? And what are observations that are made after conducting path testing is structural programming languages need less of path testing. Okay, so this will be helpful for languages like assembly language, COBOL, Fortran, BASIC, and all similar languages that make path testing easier. So as I already told you, so structural languages, this will be used for structural programming languages like assembly language, COBOL, Fortran, wherein in those kind of languages, doing path testing will be easy, right? So this is the introduction part, definition part for path testing. And next, coming to, before starting our path testing, we need to know some basic concepts regarding in path testing. First thing we'll be doing is you will be drawing control flow graphs. Till now you are having an idea of how to draw flow charts, right? So how you'll draw a flow chart from your program, from your algorithm, you are having, you have an enough knowledge of drawing flow charts. But while doing path testing, what we do is from that flow chart we draw flow graph. So what will be the difference between flow chart and flow graph, we'll be seeing in the next slide. So in order to perform path testing, you need to draw flow graph. So for that reason, you need to know what are all the elements that are used in flow graph. So right, so what is a flow graph? It is a specified, abstract and graphical representation of a program control structure using process block, decisions and junctions. So it's a, as you know, flowchart definition, it is a graphical representation of your program, right? One second, students. Sorry for the disturbance. So flowchart is graphical representation of your program. Similarly, flow graph is also a simplified, abstract and graphical representation of your program control structure. By using, what we'll be using in flow graph is we'll be using the process blocks, we'll be using the decision blocks, and we'll be using the junctions. We'll be using all these elements while drawing flow graphs. You know all the elements that you are used while drawing flow charts. You'll be using start symbol, end symbol, you'll be using input output parallelograms, you'll be using rhombus, you will be using sub-function symbols, all this thing. So similarly, while drawing flow graph, we'll be using process block, we'll be using decisions, and we'll be using junctions. Now coming to the symbols, so this is the symbol for process block. So process block is a block which contains a continuous sequential statements, which will not be interrupted by any decision making or any junction. See this process block, for suppose if I'm having some sequential of statements, I'm having statement 1, statement 2, statement 3. All these are sequential. There is no decision making or control structure in between, control flows in between. All the statements are present sequentially. Now this can be represented in flow graph by a process block. All this together can be represented by a process block. See this. One second. See, process block definition is a sequence of program statements uninterrupted by decisions or junctions with a single entry and a single exit. So as I already told you, it is a sequence of program statements. In that program statements, we will not have any interrupts regarding decisions. దాంట్లో decision making symbols ఏమి ఉండవు. Junction అంటే 2 or more nodes ఒకేసారి కలవటం. సో junctions ఏమి ఉండవు. అండ్ ఆ ప్రాసెస్ బ్లాక్ ఎలా ఉంటుందంటే సింగిల్ ఎంట్రీ ఉంటుంది, ఫైనల్ గా సింగిల్ ఎగ్జిట్ ఉంటుంది. Only one way entry and one way exit. మధ్యలో sequence of statements ఎన్నైనా ఉండవు. You call them as process block. And second one వచ్చేసి junction. So a point in a program where control flow can merge into a node or a graph. For example, the target of go to, jump, continue, so on. So junction ki symbol idamma. This is a symbol for junction. So ikkada em cheptuna ante this is a point where two nodes are merging into single thing or two links are merging into single thing. Ante some two-way decision ekkada nuncho vachi sequential statements, two-way statements vachi they are merging into single one. So similarly, see here the output of statement 1, node 1, again the output of some other node, they are merged into node 2. So 2 points, 2 links okay దగ్గర మీట్ అయితే ఒక నోడ్ దగ్గర మీట్ అయితే you call it as junction. And coming to decision making, this is a symbol. Rhombus symbol is a decision making symbol, as you already know in flowcharts. So here some decision will be calculated based on whether the decision is true or false. If it is yes, you will do something. If it is false, you will do some other thing. So this you already know in flowcharts, right? And last one is you already know switch cases, right? So this is the switch case flow graph representation. So as you know, you'll be giving some expression, some choice will be taken for the switch statement, and based on this choice and after evaluating this choice, the corresponding cases will be executed, right? So if it is true, if it, case 1 will be executed, if the value is 2, then case 2 will be executed, and so on until n number of cases will be executed. The flow graph representation of this switch is like this. See, some link here, a node here. From this node, based on the expression value of this node, one among all these nodes will be, one among all these cases will be executed, right? So this is case 1, case 2, so on until case n. So these are the symbols which you need to know while drawing a flow graph. First one is process block, sequential statements combined together into a single block. Next one is junction, where two or more links come together into a single node, join together or merge together into a single node. Decision making, where you will be taking a decision whether true case will be executed or false case should be executed. And finally, the switch statement, wherein you will be selecting one among all the choices, right? So these are the symbols you need to know. So these are the definitions of all the things, all the elements which I already told you. Process block, junction, I told a control will merge into a single one, and decision making, which you already know, a program point at which the control flow can diverge, right? If statement, conditional branch, jump statement, all this. And case statements are multi-way branch, nothing but your switch statements, which you saw in C language. Those are all multi-way branch decision, branching or decision making statements. So these are the elements you need to know basically before drawing a flow chart, flow graph. So now coming to the difference between flow graph and flow chart. So flow graph kochesarke, it is the compact representation of the program. Okay, and flow chart kochesarke, it is a multi-page representation of the program. I'm having students, please check whether your phone is in mute or not. So these are the difference between flow chart and flow graph. So in flow graph, we'll be focusing on inputs, outputs, and the control flow into and out the block. So suppose if I take one block, I'll be concentrating on what are the inputs that are coming into the block, what are all the outputs that are going out, and the controls. 1 second. So these are the difference between flow graph and flow chart, which you are seeing. Next one is inside details of the process block are not shown. While you are drawing a flow graph, I'll show one process block. You saw the symbol of a process block previously, right? I'll draw a process block, but I'll not show all the inside details of that process block. In the sense, I'll combine 2 or 3 statements together and I'll show some processes going inside. In the sense, one after the other are executed. But while coming to a flow chart, you should show every part of the statement. You should draw the symbol for statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, so on. So every statement symbol should be drawn in flow chart. But coming to flow graph, if all the statements are sequential, I can combine all them together and I'll say that a single process, right? So that is the reason we are saying that inside details of the process block are not shown, but every part of the process block should be shown in flow chart. So these are the basic differences between flow chart and flow graph. Now coming to creating a flow graph from a program. So before going into the concept of path testing, first of all, you should know how to draw a flow graph. So you know how to draw a flow chart already. So from a program, how you'll draw flow chart, and from there, how you'll draw flow graph. That is what we'll be seeing here. This is the introduction part you need to learn before going into the path testing concept. So see this, these are the steps we need to follow. One statement to one element translation to get a classical flow chart. Excuse me. One statement to one element translation to get a classical flow chart. So see here, this is the program that is given. This is the program. See the program, see the sequence of statements in this program. So first line is input. You are taking the input as X and Y. Next, your program is X plus Y equal to Z. So you are performing some logic here. You are adding 2 variables, storing it in Z. You are subtracting 2 variables, storing it in V. And next you are having some decision making. If Z value is greater than or equal to 0, if some addition value is greater than or equal to 0, then what you're doing, you are going to go to SAM. SAM is a label. So you'll jump, if this is true, you'll jump to this location. Where I'll jump from here to this location. If this is false, the next statement will be executed. Joe will be executed. If it is true, I'll directly jump to Sam. If it is false, then Joe will be executed and then the Sam will be executed, right? And later I'm having a looping statement. See here, this is the pseudocode representation, students. This is not complete any programming language. So see here, next you are having a looping statement, for loop. And for I'm having n variable by the name n. I'm starting n with 0 and when I'm going until v. For n equal to 0 to v. In this loop, what I'm doing, body of the loop, I'm having z equal to z minus 1. And this loop is repeated until n reaches from 0 to v, right? And next n, again I'll go here, I'll go to this loop condition. I'll increment n value by 1, again n value by 2, so on until n reaches to v, and finally I'll end my program. So this is the program. So this is the program. From this program, first of all, I'll be drawing the flow chart, which you already know. You people already know. See this first line. This is an input variable. So I'm taking a rectangle here. In rectangle, I'm drawing, declaring the variables as X and Y. And next is some computational step. In computational step, I'm adding 2 numbers. See, and next one is subtraction. These 3 are 2 computational steps, right? And next I'm having decision making. So if condition decision making, so I'm using rhombus symbol here. And from this rhombus symbol, I'm saying if it is true, I should go to SAM. So what I'm doing, after checking this condition, if it is true, I'm going to SAM. I'm jumping to this label. Okay. If it is false, I'm going to Joe. If it is false, if it is no, I'm going to Joe. When I move to this Joe, what will be executed? Z equal to Z plus V will be executed. So Z equal to Z plus V will be executed. After this statement will be executed. So after this SAM will be executed. This label will be executed. Next, Z equal to Z minus V. So this is the decision making until here. And next loop has started in the program. So I'm initializing the variable n equal to 0. I'm starting my loop. In that loop, the body of the loop contains Z equal to Z minus 1. So after starting the loop, this body will be executed. Now after executing the loop, I'll check whether n has reached to V. Next n, right? N has reached to V or not. If it has not reached to V, I'll increment n value by 1. So n equal to n plus 1. Again the loop will be executed. Again the body will be executed. Again I'll check n value. If it is 2, next if it is not V, then 2. So on, 3, so on. The loop will be executed until n reaches to V. And finally, if the condition fails, if n reaches to V, if it is true, then n will be executed. I'll stop the program. So this is all this is the thing which you already know, how to draw a flowchart from this program, right? So that is the first thing you'll be doing before drawing a flow graph. And next, add additional labels as needed. What I'll do here is I'll be adding the additional label. See here, no is a label. Yes. Here I should write yes. Yes is a label. So here no is a label, S is a label. So these are all the SAM, Sam is a label, Joe is a label, loop is a label. I'll add all the labels that are necessary in my flowchart, right? Now third step, what I'll do is I'll merge process step. See, so what I gave the definition for process previously, I told it contains a single entity, entry and a single exit, okay, and group of statements that are executed sequentially. Now, if you observe this flow chart, see first line, first input, this statement will be executed. And after this, there is no another way. Directly statement 2 will be executed. Z equal to X plus Y will be executed. And after this, V equal to X minus Y should be executed. So all these 3 statements should be executed sequentially. So this is the entry and this is the exit. Now this is a process. I'll merge all these 3 statements together and I'll draw a single process. See, this will be seeing in next one. See, here I'm writing as P1. Now, what is P1? P1 is input xy, z equal to x plus y, and v equal to x minus y. All these together, combined together, I'm calling it as a process. P1. I labeled it as P1. Now, after P1, this condition decision making should be executed. So, see, after P1, this will be executed. And from there, I'm having 2 choices, yes or no. These are the labels. If it is no, z equal to z plus v should be executed. Here I'm having only one statement. So this is a process. This is the entry. This is the exit part. Now this is the process. I'm labeling this process as P2. So I'm labeling it as P2. And from there, now see here again I'm having 2 statements sequentially. These statements should be executed sequentially. Now I'll combine these 2 statements and I'll say it as P3. So right students, see this is P3. Okay, and next after P3 loop is executed. From here I'm having z equal to z minus 1 and I'm checking the condition. So I'm noting at P4. This is P4. I'm checking the condition, and based on the condition, if it is false, again P5 will be executed. See, this is P5. If it is no, P5 will be executed. If it is yes, then program will be ended. So what we are doing here, first of all, I drawed the what I did here. Initially, I drawed my flowchart, which you already know. Now in this flowchart, if I notice this flowchart, these statements are executed sequentially. This is the entry point, this is the exit point. So I'm calling it as process P1. Okay, and next, this is a label. This is decision making, this is label. Okay, and next I'm having some statement here. I'm having only single statement. I'm calling it as P2. And next, after this, I'm having sequential statements here. 2 statements together, I'm calling it as P3. After that, some loop condition. Next, I'm having a statement here. I'm calling it as P4. And next, from decision making, again, I'm having a statement here. I'm calling it as P5. Okay, so I combined sequential statements and I named it as process with some labels, right? This is what we did here in this. This is the output. So the third step has been completed, merge process step. Next, what I need to do, a process block is implied on every junction and decision. Now what I'll do, I'll remove all the external labels from this block. So in this flow graph, this is called as flow graph. Now what I'll do is, I'll remove all these labels. సో ఇక్కడ ఉంది కదా నో అని చెప్పి ఇవన్నీ ఎస్ అని నో అని ఇలాంటి లేబుల్స్ అన్ని కూడా మనం రిమూవ్ చేసేయాలి. సో రిమూవ్ చేశాక నేనేం చేస్తానంటే ఈ ప్రాసెస్ ని ఏదైతే సింబల్ ఉందో ఈ పి అనే సింబల్ ఏదైతే ఉందో ఓకేనా ఐ రిప్రజెంట్ ఇట్ బై అ నోడ్. సో ఇక్కడ చూడండి రిప్రజెంట్ ద కంటెంట్స్ ఆఫ్ ద ఎలిమెంట్స్ బై నెంబర్స్ వీల్ హ్యావ్ నోట్స్ అండ్ లింక్స్. నౌ ఇప్పుడు ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్ లో మీరు చూడాల్సింది ఏంటంటే ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్ లో ఓన్లీ 2 సింబల్స్ ఉంటాయి. వన్ ఈజ్ నోడ్ అండ్ ద అదర్ ఈజ్ లింక్. లింక్ అంటే ఆరోస్, నోడ్స్ అంటేనేమో ఆ స్టేట్మెంట్స్, ఆ ప్రాసెస్ స్టేట్మెంట్స్ ని మనం నోట్స్ అంటాము. లింక్స్ అంటేనేమో దే ఆర్ రిప్రజెంటెడ్ బై ఆరో. ఇప్పుడు మీ ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్ లో ఓన్లీ 2 సింబల్స్ ఉండాలి, నోడ్ ఉండాలి, లింక్ ఉండాలి. సో అందుకోసం నేను ఏం చేస్తానంటే ఐ రిమూవ్ ఆల్ ద ఎక్స్టర్నల్ ఎంటిటీస్, ఎక్స్టర్నల్ లేబుల్స్ అన్ని నేను రిమూవ్ చేసేసి వాటన్నిటికీ నెంబరింగ్ ఇస్తాను. సీ హియర్ దిస్ ఇస్ ద ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్, ఫైనల్లీ సింప్లిఫైడ్ ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్. సో ఇక్కడ చూడండి దిస్ ఇస్ నోడ్ 1. మీ డయాగ్రామ్ లో ఇక్కడ నోడ్ 1 అంటే ఏంటి, ఇది ప్రాసెస్. ఈ ప్రాసెస్ ని మనం నోడ్ 1 అన్నాం. నెక్స్ట్ P2 ఉంది చూడండి, ఐఎమ్ కాలింగ్ ఇట్ యాజ్ నోడ్ 2. Sorry, this decision making is called as node 2, and next node 3, node 4, node 5, node 6, so on. And see here, this is node 1, this is node 2. అంటే మనం ఇక్కడ చెప్పిన డెసిషన్ మేకింగ్ z greater than or equal to 0 ఈ కండిషన్ చెక్ అయింది కదా, this is node 2. based on this node 2 value, if it is true ఏం ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవుతుంది, ఇక్కడ P2 will be executed. దాన్ని నేను 3 అంటున్నాను. I'll give a numbering, wait 1 second. So this is node 1, this is node 2, this is node 3, this is node 4, this is node 5, this is node 6, this is node 7. See, right students, now node 1 will be executed and next node 2 will be executed. Based on node 2 result, if it is true, then node 4 will be executed directly. If it is false, then node 3 will be executed and then node 4. So right, and next after node 4, node 5 will be executed, and after node 5, node 6 will be executed. Again, based on the result of node 6, if it is no, node 7 will be executed, or else I'll come out of my program. See here, that is what we are doing here. So node 1, node 2 decision making అనుకున్నాం కదా, దాని రిజల్ట్ బట్టి 3 ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవుతుంది, లేకపోతే 4 ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవుతుంది. అండ్ నెక్స్ట్ నోడ్ 5 ఎగ్జిక్యూటెడ్, లూప్ ఈజ్ ఎగ్జిక్యూటెడ్. లూప్ లో ఉన్న కండిషన్ బట్టి నోడ్ 6 ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవుతుంది అండ్ లూప్ ఇలా నాకు రిపీట్ అవుతూ ఉంటుంది. నెక్స్ట్ నోడ్ 7 ఈజ్ ఎగ్జిక్యూటెడ్. ఎప్పటి వరకు అంటే కనుక అంటిల్ నా కండిషన్ ఫెయిల్ అయినప్పుడు, అంటిల్ n reaches to v. సో అప్పటి వరకు నాకు లింక్స్ అనేది ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవుతూ ఉంటుంది. సో దిస్ ఇస్ ద ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్ రిప్రజెంటేషన్ స్టూడెంట్స్. యూ నీడ్ టు నో హౌ టు డ్రా ఎ ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్ ఇనిషియల్లీ బిఫోర్ గోయింగ్ ఇన్ టు పాత్ టెస్టింగ్ కాన్సెప్ట్. సో ఇట్ ఈస్ వెరీ సింపుల్. సో ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్ లో మనం డ్రా చేయాలంటే ఫస్ట్ మీరు తీసుకున్న ప్రోగ్రామ్, మీ ఇన్పుట్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఏదైతే ఉందో ప్రోగ్రామ్ లో ప్రతి లైన్ కి నెంబరింగ్ ఇచ్చుకోవాలమ్మా ఫస్ట్. So this is statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, so on. Now from this program, you know how to draw the flow chart. So this is the flow chart representation, right? In flow chart, every statement is represented in process. So అది మనం ఒక డిఫరెన్స్ కింద చెప్పాను చూడండి. ఇక్కడ statement 1 ఇక్కడ రిప్రజెంట్ చేసాం, స్టేట్మెంట్ 2 ఇక్కడ రిప్రజెంట్ చేసాం, స్టేట్మెంట్ 3 ఇక్కడ రిప్రజెంట్ చేసాం. సో ఎవ్రీ స్టేట్మెంట్ ఈస్ రిప్రజెంటెడ్ ఇన్ ద ఫ్లో చార్ట్. ఇప్పుడు ఫ్లో చార్ట్ నుంచి ఐ షుడ్ డ్రా ద ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్. ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్ డ్రా చేయాలంటే మనం ఏం చేయాలంటే మీ ఫ్లో చార్ట్ లో వాట్ ఎవర్ స్టేట్మెంట్స్ ఆర్ బీయింగ్ ఎగ్జిక్యూటెడ్ సీక్వెన్షియల్లీ వాటిని కంబైన్ చేసి మనం సింగిల్ ప్రాసెస్ కింద పెడతాం. అంటే ఇప్పుడు నేను ఫస్ట్ 3 స్టేట్మెంట్స్ ని కంబైన్ చేసి ఐఎమ్ సేయింగ్ ఇట్ యాజ్ ప్రాసెస్ 1. సో అందుకనే P1 అని అన్నాం, ఓకేనా. అండ్ నెక్స్ట్ కండిషన్ డెసిషన్ మేకింగ్, ఈ స్టేట్మెంట్ ని ప్రాసెస్ 2 అంటున్నాను, ఇది ప్రాసెస్ 3 అంటున్నాను, 4 అంటున్నాను, 5 అంటున్నాను, 6 అంటున్నాను, 7. సో అలాగా మనం ప్రాసెస్ వాల్యూస్ అనేది పెట్టాం. P1, P2, P3, P4 అండ్ P5. సో ఇంతటితో ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్ మనం డ్రా చేసినట్టు. కానీ ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్ లో మనకి ఎప్పుడు కూడా మై ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్ షుడ్ బి ఇన్ ద ఫార్మ్ ఆఫ్ నోట్స్ అండ్ లింక్స్ ఫామ్ లోనే నాకు ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్ అనేది ఉండాలి. సో అందుకోసమని నేను ఏం చేస్తున్నానంటే ఇప్పుడు ఈ గ్రాఫ్ ని ఇంకా ఫర్దర్ సింప్లిఫై చేయాలి. సింప్లిఫై చేసేటప్పుడు నేను ఏం చేస్తానంటే ఇక్కడ ఏదైతే ప్రాసెస్ ఉన్నాయో వాటన్నిటిని నోడ్ కింద ఒక నెంబరింగ్ ఇచ్చి రిప్రజెంట్ చేస్తున్నాను. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇక్కడ చూడండి, P1 ని I have represented as node 1, P2 ని node 2, node 3, node 4, node 5, node 6 and node 7. Now this is the flow graph representation. You should know how to draw the flow graph. Okay, right? Now finally flow graph ఎలా డ్రా చేయాలో మీకు తెలిసింది కాబట్టి ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్ ని మనం లింక్డ్ లిస్ట్ రిప్రజెంటేషన్ లో కూడా రిప్రజెంట్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. నౌ హౌ ఐ విల్ రిప్రజెంట్ అంటే ఫ్రమ్ దిస్ ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్, సి అబ్జర్వ్ దిస్ ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్ in node 1. This is node 1. సో ఇక్కడ ఏం జరుగుతుంది, నోడ్ 1 లో ఇంటర్నల్ గా ఏం జరిగిందమ్మా, మనకి నోడ్ 1 లో మనం ఏం చేసాము, ఈ 3 స్టెప్స్ టుగెదరే కదా మనం నోడ్ 1 అన్నాం. ఆల్ దీస్ 3 స్టెప్స్ టుగెదర్, దాన్నే మనం P1 అన్నాము. నెక్స్ట్ స్టేజ్ లో దాన్నే మనం నోడ్ 1 అని అన్నాము. సో ఇప్పుడు నోడ్ 1 లో నాకు ఏమున్నాయి, బిగిన్ ఇన్పుట్ x and y వేరియబుల్స్ తీసుకున్నాం. నెక్స్ట్ z వాల్యూ సమ్మేషన్ ఆఫ్ x and y and v వాల్యూ సబ్ట్రాక్షన్ ఆఫ్ x and y. సో దిస్ ఈస్ ద ప్రాసెసింగ్ దట్ హ్యాస్ బీన్ డన్ ఇన్ నోడ్ 1. నోడ్ 1 లో జరిగిన ప్రాసెసింగ్ అది. అదే మనం ఇది ఫ్లో చార్ట్ లో రిప్రజెంట్ చేయాలంటే 3 డిఫరెంట్ స్టెప్స్ కింద రిప్రజెంట్ చేసాం. కానీ ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్ లో మనం ఏం చేసాం, ఐ కంబైన్ ఆల్ దోస్ 3 స్టెప్స్ ఇంటూ సింగిల్ నోడ్. సో నోడ్ 1 లో దిస్ ఇస్ ద ప్రాసెసింగ్ దట్ ఈస్ బీయింగ్ డన్. సో ఇప్పుడు నోడ్ 1 తర్వాత నెక్స్ట్ నోడ్ ఏంటి, నోడ్ 2. సో నోడ్ 1 తర్వాత అవుట్పుట్ ఇస్ నోడ్ 2. దెర్ ఇస్ నో అదర్ అవుట్పుట్ వే, ఓన్లీ సింగిల్ ఎంట్రీ సింగిల్ ఎగ్జిట్ ఉంది ఇక్కడ. ఈ సింగిల్ ఎగ్జిట్ ఆప్షన్ ఏంటంటే నోడ్ 2. సో నోడ్ 1 తర్వాత డిఫాల్ట్ గా నోడ్ 2 ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవ్వాలి. నెక్స్ట్ కమింగ్ టు నోడ్ 2. నోడ్ 2 లో ఏం జరిగింది మనకి, నోడ్ 2 లో వాట్ యూ హ్యాడ్, దిస్ ఇస్ నోడ్ 2 కదా. ఇక్కడ ఏం జరుగుతుంది మనకి, డెసిషన్ మేకింగ్ z గ్రేటర్ దాన్ ఆర్ ఈక్వల్ టు 0 అనేది జరుగుతుంది. z గ్రేటర్ దాన్ ఆర్ ఈక్వల్ టు 0, దాన్నే నేను నోడ్ 2 z గ్రేటర్ దాన్ ఈక్వల్ టు 0 కింద రిప్రజెంట్ చేస్తాను. ఇప్పుడు నోడ్ 2 లో ప్రాసెసింగ్ ఏం జరుగుతుంది, z గ్రేటర్ దాన్ ఆర్ ఈక్వల్ టు 0 కండిషన్ ఇస్ చెక్. ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ట్రూ అయితే it is node 4 is being executed, or else node 3 is executed. That is what we are saying here. Node 2 tarvata this is the processing that is done. Output will be next node em untundante, if it is true 4 will be output, if it is false node 3 will be the output. Okay, now coming to node 3. ఈ node 3 దేనికి సంబంధించింది, ఒక లేబుల్ కి సంబంధించింది. గుర్తుందా, what is that label? సో ఇదే కదా మన లేబుల్ JOE. ఇక్కడ నుంచి ఈ లైన్ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అయింది. దీన్నే నేను ఫర్దర్ ఏమన్నానంటే P2 అన్నాను. దాన్ని నెక్స్ట్ స్టేజెస్ కి వచ్చేసరికి ఏం రాశానంటే ఇక్కడ నోడ్ 3 కింద రిప్రజెంట్ చేశాను. సో నోడ్ 3 లో ఏముంది అంటే ఒక లేబుల్ ఉంది. ఆ లేబుల్ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అయ్యాక నెక్స్ట్ ఎక్కడికి వెళ్తుందంటే 3 తర్వాత నెక్స్ట్ ఎక్కడికి వెళ్తుంది, నాకు 4 కి వెళ్తుంది. సో 4 విల్ బి ద అవుట్పుట్. నెక్స్ట్ ఈ నోడ్ 4 లో ప్రాసెసింగ్ ఏం జరుగుతుంది మీకు, నోడ్ 4 లో ప్రాసెసింగ్ వచ్చేసి SAM అనే లేబుల్ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవుతుంది. దీని తర్వాత z ఈక్వల్ టు z మైనస్ v n ఈక్వల్ టు 0 అనేది ఎగ్జిక్యూట్. దీని అంతా కలిపేసేసి మనం నోడ్ P3 అన్నాము. దాన్ని కలిపేసేసి మనం నెక్స్ట్ స్టేజ్ లో ఏమన్నాం అంటే ఫోర్త్ నోడ్ అని చెప్పాం. సో అదే మనం ఇక్కడ రాస్తున్నాం. నోడ్ 4 లో ప్రాసెసింగ్ ఏం జరుగుతుంది, SAM అనే లేబుల్ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అయ్యి z ఈక్వల్ టు z మైనస్ v అనేది ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవుతుంది. నెక్స్ట్ n equal to 0. These statements together I called as node 4 finally. So node 4 నుంచి next statement ఏంటమ్మా, node 5 will be executed. Okay, in node 5 లో ఏం జరుగుతుంది మనకి, node 5 లో loop స్టార్ట్ అయింది. సో లూప్ తర్వాత z ఈక్వల్ టు z మైనస్ 1 ది స్టేట్మెంట్ విల్ బి ఎగ్జిక్యూటెడ్. దాన్నే మనం P4 అన్నాము, ప్రాసెస్ 4 అన్నాము. దాన్నే మనం నోడ్ 5 తో రిప్రజెంట్ చేసాం. సో నోడ్ 5 లో లూప్ ఈస్ బీయింగ్ స్టార్టెడ్, z ఈక్వల్ టు z మైనస్ 1. సో అవుట్పుట్ విల్ బి నోడ్ 6. ఇక్కడ మీరు చూడండి, నోడ్ 5 తర్వాత అవుట్పుట్ విల్ బి నోడ్ 6. ఓకేనా. అండ్ కండిషన్ ఫెయిల్ అయ్యేంత వరకు అంటిల్ n డస్ నాట్ రీచ్ టు v అయితే కనుక, ఫాల్స్ అయితే మళ్ళీ ఏం చెప్తున్నాం, మళ్ళీ మనం నోడ్ 7 దగ్గరికి వెళ్తున్నాం, మళ్ళీ నోడ్ 5 ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవుతుంది. సో ఇలా రిపీట్ అవుతుంది కదా లూప్. సో కండిషన్ ఫెయిల్ అయితే లూప్ ఈస్ బీయింగ్ రిపీటెడ్. కండిషన్ ట్రూ అయితే కనుక ఎండ్ అయిపోతుంది ప్రోగ్రామ్. సో అన్ని ఇంక్రిమెంట్ అవుతున్నప్పుడల్లా మనం ఎక్కడికి వెళ్తున్నాం, ఇక్కడ అన్ని ఇంక్రిమెంట్ అవుతున్నప్పుడల్లా నోడ్ 5 వెళ్తాం. సో దిస్ ఇస్ ద లింక్డ్ లిస్ట్ రిప్రజెంటేషన్ ఆఫ్ ద ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్. So right students, in order to perform part testing, you need to know all these basic concepts. So in today's class, we saw what is the definition for part testing, what is the main goal for part testing. Part testing chese mundu, what are all the basic assumptions we'll be having in our mind, and what are all the observations we have made. Part testing start cheyaboye mundu manaki konni symbols teliyali. దట్ ఈస్ వాట్ వీ సా. ప్రాసెస్ సింబల్ ఎలా ఉంటుంది, డెసిషన్ మేకింగ్, జంక్షన్ అండ్ స్విచ్ స్టేట్మెంట్స్ సింబల్స్ ఎలా ఉంటాయి అనేది చూసాము. ఇప్పుడు మీరు సింబల్స్ తెలుసుకున్నారు కాబట్టి నెక్స్ట్ మనం ఏం చూసామంటే ఫ్లో చార్ట్ కి ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్ కి డిఫరెన్స్ చూసాము. ఇప్పుడు పార్ట్ టెస్టింగ్ చేసే ముందు బేసిక్ ఫస్ట్ స్టెప్ మనం ఏం చేయాలంటే ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్ డ్రా చేయాలి. ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్ డ్రా చేయాలి కాబట్టి మీరు ఫ్లో గ్రాఫ్ ఎలా డ్రా చేస్తారు అంటే ఫస్ట్ యూ విల్ టేక్ యువర్ ప్రోగ్రామ్. ఫ్రమ్ దిస్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ యూ విల్ డ్రా ఫ్లో చార్ట్. From this flow chart, you'll draw the flow graph by combining all the process steps. So final ga ee flow graph ni inka simplify chesi I should bring it into notes and links format. Only notes and links should be present in the flow graph. This is the flow graph representation. Flow graph ni mana link list lo kuda represent cheyochu. This is how you represent the flow graph in link list. So right students,